More than 40% of adults over the age of 65 report some form of memory loss. That moment of forgetting a familiar name. The frustrating search for a word on the tip of the tongue. The subtle but persistent haze that clouds clear thought. For millions, the source of this cognitive decline is not in their head, it is in their gut. This is not an irreversible process of aging. In the next 15 minutes, a precise 28-day protocol to rebuild your gut barrier and clear the cognitive fog will be revealed. The human body contains a communication network so complex, it rivals the internet. It is the gut-brain axis, a bidirectional superhighway of chemical and electrical signals connecting the digestive tract to the central nervous system. For decades, it was believed this was a one-way street, with the brain issuing commands to the gut. Science now understands this is a dynamic conversation. And after the age of 55, the gut often begins sending distress signals. The problem begins with the gatekeeper. The lining of the intestines is an extraordinarily sophisticated barrier, only 1 cell thick, yet with a surface area of a tennis court. Its job is to absorb vital nutrients while blocking toxins, undigested food particles, and harmful bacteria from entering the bloodstream. It is a border wall, designed to be rigorously selective. This is not a life sentence. It is a signal to adapt. After decades of exposure to stress, medications, and a Western diet, this barrier can lose its integrity. The tight junctions between the cells loosen, creating microscopic gaps. This condition, known as intestinal hyperpermeability, means the gatekeeper has abandoned its post. The border is breached. Suddenly, substances that should have been contained are now roaming free within the body's internal environment. The immune system, rightly identifying these as foreign invaders, launches a full-scale inflammatory response. This is not the acute, helpful inflammation of a healing wound. It is a low-grade, chronic, systemic fire that smolders continuously, day after day, taxing the body's resources and causing collateral damage. The brain is its primary victim. But what exactly are these inflammatory particles that cause such chaos? The answer is more common than you think, and you likely consume some today. We will expose the primary culprit, a bacterial toxin, after this. The most potent of these inflammatory triggers are molecules called lipopolysaccharides, or LPS. LPS are fragments from the outer wall of certain types of bacteria that reside in the gut. In a healthy gut with a strong barrier, their presence is managed and contained. But when they leak through a compromised intestinal wall into the bloodstream, they trigger a powerful immune reaction. The body screams, "Invasion." This inflammatory signal, carried by messenger molecules called cytokines, travels throughout the entire body. It eventually reaches another critical gatekeeper, the blood-brain barrier. This highly selective membrane is designed to protect the brain from pathogens and toxins. But under the constant assault of systemic inflammation fueled by a leaky gut, this second barrier can also become permeable. LPS and inflammatory cytokines cross into the sacred ground of the brain. They are now behind enemy lines. This process is called neuroinflammation. It is the silent fire in the command center. It doesn't cause pain like a headache, but its effects are profoundly disruptive. It slows down neuronal firing, disrupts neurotransmitter production, and impairs the brain's ability to form new connections, a process vital for memory and learning. This is the biological reality of brain fog. It is the feeling of mental slowness, the difficulty concentrating, the frustrating inability to access memories that should be readily available. The brain's own immune cells, called microglia, become overactivated by the inflammatory signals. Instead of performing their duties of cleaning up cellular debris, they go into a chronic state of alert, releasing substances that further damage healthy neurons. They become soldiers fighting a war with no end, causing immense collateral damage in the process. This inflammatory fire can be extinguished. The solution begins not with a complex pharmaceutical, but with a specific class of nutrient that your beneficial gut bacteria are starving for. The first step of the 28-day protocol involves harnessing the immense power of prebiotic fiber to rebuild the wall from the inside out. The term fiber is often misunderstood. Prebiotic fiber is a specific category of dietary fiber that the human body cannot digest. However, it serves as the primary food source for the trillions of beneficial microbes residing in the colon. These are the bacteria that work for you, not against you. Feeding them is the first, non-negotiable step to healing the gut barrier. When these beneficial bacteria feast on prebiotic fibers, they produce powerful health-promoting compounds as a byproduct of their metabolism. The most important of these are short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs. Of these, one is king: butyrate. Butyrate is the preferred fuel source for the cells that make up the intestinal lining, the colonocytes. Providing a steady supply of butyrate is like providing the highest quality bricks and mortar to a construction crew tasked with repairing a crumbling wall. It gives them the energy they need to tighten the junctions between cells, to regenerate, and to restore the integrity of the barrier. It literally seals the leaks. For week 1 of the protocol, the objective is simple: introduce a rich diversity of prebiotic foods into every meal. Aim for 2 to 3 servings per day. This can be as simple as adding garlic and onions to a sauce, slicing a slightly green banana into a smoothie, or roasting asparagus and leeks as a side dish. Chicory root fiber can be purchased as a powder and added to drinks, but whole food sources are superior as they provide a matrix of other beneficial nutrients. This is not about volume. It is about consistency. But simply adding fiber isn't enough. There's a common mistake that can actually make gut inflammation worse if the wrong types of bacteria are allowed to dominate. Next, we will reveal the powerful allies that protect your gut from this mistake: a vibrant category of compounds found in the most colorful foods on the planet. These protective compounds are polyphenols. They are the natural pigments that give plants their vibrant colors, and they are some of the most potent antioxidants found in nature. Their role in the 28-day protocol is twofold. First, they directly neutralize the inflammatory fires that are already burning. Second, they act as selective prebiotics, preferentially feeding beneficial bacteria while inhibiting the growth of pathogenic species. During week 2, the focus expands to include 3 to 4 daily servings of polyphenol-rich foods. Think of eating the rainbow. Blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, and raspberries are exceptional sources. Green tea, rich in a polyphenol called EGCG, is a powerful anti-inflammatory beverage. High-quality extra virgin olive oil, and even a small square of dark chocolate, with a cacao content of 70% or higher, contribute significantly to this effort. These polyphenols are particularly effective at boosting populations of a keystone gut bacterium called Akkermansia muciniphila. This microbe is critical because it lives in and helps maintain the thick mucus layer that lines the intestines. This mucus layer acts as a second line of defense, a physical buffer that prevents bacteria, even beneficial ones, from coming into direct contact with the gut wall, further reducing the potential for an immune reaction. By consuming polyphenols, one is not just repairing the wall, one is reinforcing its defenses. We have rebuilt the foundation with prebiotics and protected it with polyphenols. The gut environment is now shifting from a state of chaos to one of order. But there is one final, crucial element missing from 90% of Western diets: a specific supplement that acts as the master key to lock down the gut barrier for good. The identity of this overlooked nutrient is the third and most critical phase of the protocol, and it specifically targets the cellular machinery responsible for rebuilding the tight junctions. The first 2 weeks have prepared the ground. They have reduced inflammation and provided the raw materials for repair. Now, for weeks 3 and 4, it is time to introduce the catalyst. This is not a broad-spectrum multivitamin. It is a targeted amino acid, the most abundant in the human body, yet one that becomes conditionally essential during times of physiological stress. And a leaky gut is a profound state of stress. This amino acid is L-glutamine. While butyrate provides the energy for the gut lining cells, L-glutamine provides the direct structural components. It is the literal building block for the proteins that form the tight junctions, the rivet-like structures that bind the cells of the gut wall together. Supplementing with L-glutamine during the repair phase is like airlifting a team of specialist welders and a supply of high-grade steel to a damaged bridge. It dramatically accelerates the rate and strength of the repair. The protocol for weeks 3 and 4 involves a precise dosage taken on an empty stomach to ensure maximum absorption and delivery to the intestinal tract where it is needed most. The typical dosage for therapeutic purposes ranges from 5 to 10 grams, twice per day, dissolved in water. It is best taken 30 minutes before breakfast and 30 minutes before bed. This timing ensures it doesn't have to compete with other amino acids from food for absorption. The L-glutamine provides the structural repair, the prebiotics feed the beneficial workforce, and the polyphenols provide antioxidant protection and crowd control. It is a 3-pronged strategy that addresses the root cause of the problem from every conceivable angle. This synergy is what makes the protocol so effective. Removing one element significantly diminishes the power of the others. But there is a crucial caveat when sourcing this supplement, a detail that determines whether it will heal or potentially harm. The form of the L-glutamine matters immensely, as many commercial products contain fillers and allergens that can exacerbate the very inflammation you're trying to heal. Always opt for pure, pharmaceutical-grade L-glutamine powder, with no added sweeteners, flavors, or anti-caking agents. The integrity of your recovery depends on the integrity of your tools. So the plan is set. Week 1, prebiotics. Week 2, polyphenols. Weeks 3 and 4, high-dose L-glutamine. The gut wall is being sealed. The inflammation is going down. The microbiome is rebalancing. The war, it seems, is being won, isn't it? But what if I told you that sealing your gut was only half the battle? What if the most dangerous leak, the one truly dictating your quality of life, wasn't in your intestines at all? For decades, we've focused on the gut as the epicenter of chronic disease. We were right, but we were also dangerously short-sighted. We failed to ask the most critical follow-up question. Once the inflammatory molecules and bacterial fragments breach the gut wall, where do they go? They enter the superhighway of your circulatory system, and some of them have a very specific, very devastating destination. They travel north to your brain. The very same process that creates a leaky gut, chronic inflammation fueled by poor diet, stress, and toxins, can create a leaky brain. That's not a metaphor. The blood-brain barrier, the highly selective, microscopic gatekeeper that protects your fragile central nervous system, can become compromised. The tight junctions between its cells can loosen, just like they do in the gut. And when that microscopic dam breaks, the consequences are not just physical. They are psychological. They are existential. That persistent brain fog you can't shake, that's not just you being tired. It's low-grade neuroinflammation. That inexplicable anxiety, or that dull, gray mood of depression that never seems to lift, no matter how good things are, it could be a direct result of your brain's immune cells, the microglia, being in a state of constant, panicked activation, flooded by compounds that never should have gotten past the gate. This is the ghost in the machine. It's the reason why you can eat perfectly, sleep 8 hours, meditate, and still feel disconnected, unmotivated, and not quite yourself. You've been trying to fix the hardware, your body, while being completely unaware that the software, your mood, your focus, your very consciousness, has been corrupted by the same inflammatory cascade that started in your gut. This is the ultimate betrayal of the body against the mind. This is why so many gut healing protocols ultimately fail in the long run. They seal the gut, but they leave the brain on fire. The 28-day protocol we've outlined so far is the essential, non-negotiable first step. It's like putting out the massive factory fire that's been spewing toxic smoke into the air. Without it, nothing else is possible. But now, we have to deal with the fallout. We have to decontaminate the city. So how do you repair the blood-brain barrier? How do you calm the fires of neuroinflammation and protect your delicate neurons from further damage? It requires an entirely different set of tools. It requires specific nutrients that are uniquely capable of crossing this elite barrier and getting to work. While L-glutamine is the master welder for the gut, the brain requires something far more sophisticated. It needs a class of compounds that don't just rebuild structures, but actively protect neurons from inflammatory damage, and even stimulate the growth of new brain cells, a process called neurogenesis. This brings us to the fourth and final layer of the protocol, a phase that must begin in week 3, running in parallel with the L-glutamine. This isn't just about feeling better physically anymore. This is about reclaiming your mental clarity, your emotional stability, and your cognitive edge. We are now entering the realm of neuroreparative fats and a unique class of botanical compounds known as adaptogens. These compounds have been revered for centuries in traditional medicine to enhance vitality and resilience, but modern science is now revealing their profound, almost surgical ability to target the gut-brain axis with unparalleled precision. The first one we need to implement is not a rare herb from a remote mountain. It's a fat, a very specific type of fat that 60% of your brain is literally made of, yet one that has been systematically misunderstood, feared, and removed from the modern diet to our great detriment. Getting enough of this single nutrient is the key to silencing the storm in your head, reinforcing the blood-brain barrier, and giving your brain the raw material it desperately needs to finally begin to heal itself. I'm talking about DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, the omega-3 fatty acid that is the literal building block of your cerebral cortex. You've heard of it, but here's the devastating truth. The secret the billion-dollar supplement industry prays you never learn. What if the source matters more than the substance? What if the fish oil capsules sitting in your medicine cabinet right now, the ones you bought to protect your brain, are not just useless, but are actively pouring gasoline on your neuroinflammatory fire? Think about it. This delicate, polyunsaturated fat is incredibly fragile. It oxidizes, it goes rancid, at an alarming rate when exposed to heat, light, and oxygen. The very process of catching the fish, processing the oil, and encapsulating it creates a ticking time bomb of lipid peroxides. These are highly toxic compounds that, instead of healing your brain, act as free radicals, directly attacking your cell membranes and worsening the very blood-brain barrier permeability you're trying to fix. Your brain-healing supplement becomes a Trojan horse of inflammation. So how do you get this critical brain-building fat in a form that is pure, stable, and actually anti-inflammatory? The answer is not what you think. You must bypass the fish entirely. You need to go directly to the source. A specific, highly purified form of algal oil, bound to phospholipids. This isn't just a better option, it's the only option. Phospholipid-bound DHA is not only more stable, it's up to 50% more bioavailable to the brain, meaning your body can actually use it where it's needed most. This is non-negotiable for Phase 4. But even with the perfect fat rebuilding the gates of your mind, we need to do more. We need to call in the peacekeepers. This is where the adaptogens come in. But not just any adaptogen. We need one that has a documented, almost intelligent, ability to calm the brain's hyperreactive immune cells, the microglia. These are the cells that, when triggered by signals from the leaky gut, create the very inflammation that causes brain fog and depression. We need to switch them from attack mode to repair mode. The compound for this job is called lion's mane mushroom. Not the whole mushroom powder you find in most trendy coffees and supplements, but a highly specific, dual extract containing both the hericenones from the fruiting body and, most critically, the arenacenes from the mycelium. The arenacenes are the only compounds proven to stimulate the synthesis of nerve growth factor, or NGF, deep within the brain itself. This is profound. We're not just stopping the damage anymore. We're actively initiating the brain's own potent, endogenous repair and regeneration sequence. This is the biological equivalent of telling your brain, the war is over. It's safe to rebuild. By week 3, your protocol now has 3 synergistic layers. The L-glutamine is rebuilding the gut wall from the inside out. The phospholipid-bound DHA is repairing the blood-brain barrier and providing the raw materials for neuronal health. And the lion's mane dual extract is calming the microglia and stimulating NGF, telling your brain to grow and create new, healthy connections. It's a perfect strategy. It's a complete solution, except for one final, terrifying variable: a saboteur, an insidious agent that can undermine this entire healing process, operating completely in the shadows, not from your gut, but from your own mind. What if the biggest trigger for your leaky brain wasn't the food you ate yesterday, but the thoughts you are thinking right now? We've talked about chemical stress from a poor diet, but what about psychological stress? What about the cortisol? Every time you worry about the future, every time you ruminate on the past, every time you experience that jolt of social anxiety or workplace pressure, you are pulling the pin on an inflammatory grenade inside your own head. Cortisol, the master stress hormone, has a direct, corrosive effect on both the gut lining and the blood-brain barrier. You can be taking all the right supplements, eating the perfect diet, but if you are living in a state of chronic psychological stress, you are continuously reopening the leaks. You are actively sabotaging your own recovery. This is the cruel paradox of the gut-brain axis. Your leaky brain causes anxiety and depression, and that anxiety and depression then perpetuates your leaky brain. It is the perfect, self-sustaining loop of disease. It's why people can feel better for a few weeks on a new protocol, only to crash the moment a life stressor hits. They never address the feedback loop. So how do we break it? How do we sever the connection between our conscious mind and this unconscious, inflammatory cascade? This requires our 5th and final element. It's not a supplement. It's a technique, a neurological reset button that you can press in 60 seconds. It's called the physiological sigh, and it is the most powerful, evidence-based tool for rapidly shutting down the body's fight or flight response. It's not meditation. It's a direct manipulation of your autonomic nervous system, using the mechanics of your own lungs to send a powerful signal of safety to your brainstem via the vagus nerve. It works like this: 2 sharp inhales through the nose, followed by one long, complete exhale through the mouth. That's it. That double inhale reinflates the tiny, collapsed air sacs in your lungs, maximizing gas exchange and offloading carbon dioxide, which in turn sends a lightning-fast signal to your brain that the panic is over. You are manually flipping the switch from the cortisol-driven sympathetic state to the healing, parasympathetic rest and digest state. In under a minute, you halt the production of cortisol. You stop the inflammatory cascade. You cut the strings of the saboteur. Do this 3 to 5 times whenever you feel that jolt of stress, and you build a neurological shield around the very healing you are working so hard to create. This is the final piece of the puzzle. This is how the system becomes truly unbreakable. Your L-glutamine is the mortar for your gut wall. Your phospholipid algal oil is the smart brick for your blood-brain barrier. Your lion's mane extract is the peacekeeper for your brain's immune system. And this simple breath is the guardian that stands watch over it all, protecting your new fortress from the corrosive force of your own stress. This isn't just a protocol, it's a paradigm shift. It's the understanding that your mental health is not just in your head, it's in your gut, it's in your food, it's in the supplements you choose, and it's in your breath. You now have the full schematic. You have the tools not just to quiet the storm, but to rebuild in its aftermath. To go from a state of surviving to a state of thriving. The brain fog can lift. The anxiety can dissolve. The energy and clarity you thought you lost forever can be your new normal. This is your health. It's your life. You are the architect. We've given you the blueprint. Now, it's time to build. This journey is just beginning. We have so much more to uncover, to deconstruct, and to rebuild together. If you are ready to stop putting band-aids on your symptoms and start forging a real, biological foundation for a brilliant mind and an unbreakable body, then join us. This is how to be healthy. Subscribe now, and let's continue the work.